Okay. Good morning. Today is April 14th, 2020, Tuesday. And I just want to welcome you back to another week of distance learning. And so let's go ahead and begin our lesson for today. As usual, your do now is just to prepare your resources for today. You are going to need a pen or a pencil. You're going to need paper and dictionary.com pulled up as usual. You are going to be reading A Midsummer Night's Dream today. However, it's not going to be the PDF that I showed you. Instead, you are going to be going to the A Midsummer Night's Dream channel, clicking on Files, and then you're going to click the tab that says Act 5, Scene 1. And let me go ahead and just show you how to get there again. And I'm going to show you also why I want you to be using that. And so we're in the A Midsummer Night's Dream tab. If you go here to Files and click Key Resources, you'll see here Act 5, Scene 1. You're going to be using this one, not the typical PDF A Midsummer Night's Dream that we've been using. And the reason for that is that if you click Act 5, Scene 1, you zoom in, you'll see that this is a modern English version. So that means that it's not written in Shakespearean language. It's written as if it was like a story for today. And you're able to understand that language a lot more. And so I wanted to do this because, one, this is the final scene of the play. And I think that knowing it in the modern English way is going to just help you tie in everything that has happened. And so you all have done such an amazing and brilliant job of interpreting the Shakespearean language. But I think at this point, it's like, let's go ahead and sum some things up and tie it all together in the easiest way possible, while still understanding the full message. And so this is where you'll be able to find that, and you will be using that today. You will be finishing that scene today, and we will be done with the play, and we'll spend the rest of this week just going over the play and tying in some things together before we start our new text. So go ahead and I'll give you about a minute to just get those four things that you need for today pulled up. So pen or pencil, paper, dictionary.com, and then your Act 5, Scene 1, modern English version. All right, and so let's go ahead and just get right into it. You do have vocabulary today, and so here are three words that you're going to look up today. You do need to know the definition of these three words in order to understand the full scene that you're about to read today. And so the first word is incisive, second is prologue, third word is epilogue. Go ahead and allow yourself about 2 minutes to look up those words and write down those definitions in your notes so that you can refer back to them when you come across them in the play today. Okay, so if you need to go ahead and pause the video to continue getting your definitions, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and continue with the lesson. And so before we just jump into Act 5, I want to go ahead and recap Act 4, Scene 1 for you all, just so that we can remind ourselves what happened and we can remind ourselves, let ourselves know what we're going to be looking for in Act 5. And so I'm going to play for you a YouTube clip that's just a quick 3-minute summary of Act 4, Scene 1. You may have seen this clip before, or you remember it from when I showed you it for Act 1. So we also look at these for Act 1 before I began showing you the movie. I'm still trying to figure out how to screen record. Amazon is not letting me screen record the movie right now. So I'm going to figure out how to do it on a different app, hopefully, because I do want to show you those movie clips by the end of the week, just to have a little fun, so you can see kind of how it ties in and how it all ends. But for now, I'm going to be showing you this brief summary. You are going to notice a little bit of language in this summary. And so I have referred to bottom as having a donkey's head, but we all know from seeing the actual text in class that there is another word you can use instead of donkey. However, have not been reading that word. I've been saying donkey instead. And so this person that is the narrator is going to be using that word. I just ask that we put on our maturity hats. We know what is being referred to, and so just be mature about it. Listen so that you can understand what is going on if you don't already. And yeah, let's just be mature young adults about it. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you right now. It just takes a moment to go full screen. And here we are.
In Act 4, Scene 1 of A Midsummer Night's Dream, King Oberon, who's invisible, watches as Titania fawns over Bottom, her fairy servant scratching his head and making him comfortable. After Bottom and Titania fall asleep, Oberon feels bad for her and says now that she's given him the changeling boy, he'll release Titania from the love spell. He does, and when Titania wakes up, she tells Oberon about a dream in which she was enamored of an ass. Oberon directs her attention to Bottom, who's sleeping nearby. Titania is disgusted. Oberon tells Puck to return Bottom back to normal, and Puck removes his ass head. Oberon and Titania dance together, and the three fairies exit. Theseus, Hippolyta, and Aegeus enter, along with their group of attendants. They've been observing May Day rites in the woods, and are about to begin a hunt, when Aegeus notices and points out the young lovers. Theseus observes that today is the day Hermia is supposed to make her choice, and he asks for horns to play. The four lovers wake up. Awakening, Lysander explains that he and Hermia ran away to escape from Athenian law. Aegeus is furious. Then Demetrius says he now loves Helena and doesn't want to marry Hermia anymore. Theseus decrees the two couples will be married, along with himself and Hippolyta. Then Theseus, Hippolyta, Aegeus, and their party leave. The four confused lovers think they've been dreaming. As they leave to go back to Athens, they agree to share their strange dreams with each other. Alone, Bottom wakes up, saying he also had a weird dream, and that he'll tell it to Quince, who can write it as a ballad for him to sing at the end of their play. Then he departs for Athens. When Oberon gets the changeling boy from Titania, he removes his enchantment from her and Bottom. Titania then seems content to go back to Oberon, and their dance is one of peaceful reconciliation. This patriarchal normalcy, interrupted by Titania's refusal to comply with Oberon's demands, is now reestablished. Considering how nature became unpredictable and disorderly when Titania denied Oberon his dominance over her, the play suggests that male dominance is part of the natural order, not just a societal one. Traditional regressive gender roles are again evoked. Most of the enchantments have been lifted by now. The four lovers, as well as Bottom, think their experiences were simply strange dreams. While all the lovers seem to agree that they experienced strange dreams, Demetrius is the one still unconvinced he's woken up. Shakespeare can't pass up the chance to make...
All right, I'm going to stop it right there because that's pretty much all you need to know for this act and for this particular scene. So just to reiterate, Oberon has now taken the spell off of Titania, and they are well again. All goes back to normal in the forest, and I want you to think about what the narrator was saying when he mentioned that, like, it kind of implies that once Titania decides to be submissive to Oberon again and allow him to be the dominant person in the relationship, how everything goes back to normal, which sort of implies that male dominance or patriarchy is part of the natural way. And so I want you to think about that and just form your own opinions about that, that I would like to further discuss as the week goes on. Also, we have the four lovers who have woken up, and they all think that they've had a weird dream, and they choose to share their dreams with one another. However, Demetrius thinks that he's still dreaming, and he is the one character who we have not had the spell lifted off of. And so knowing that, let's go ahead and go into Act 5. And so you should have Act 5 pulled up. I'm going to walk you through the first um, three paragraphs just so that you kind of know what I want you to be looking for today. Today's pretty easy. Like, my main focus for you today is to go ahead and read it. Read those 11 pages, and you're going to have an exit ticket. It's just 5 multiple choice questions, very similar to how it was with Act 4, just so that I know you understood what was happening. You're not going to really dive into analyzing what was happening and like looking up quotes and finding textual evidence until tomorrow. So today, I want you to just read it, get it done, and answer those 5 questions. And you will get a grade immediately once you submit those 5 answers. And so, main thing that we're looking at today is what is happening in Act 5, Scene 1. That's all I want you to focus on. What is actually going on? And so, let me just show you again how to break that down before I release you to do the rest of it on your own today. So, annotations will look a bit like this. I will go ahead and read aloud to you. Enter Theseus, Hippolyta, Aegeus, and attendant lords. Hippolyta. These lovers are talking about strange things. Theseus. Too strange to be real. I could never believe the tall stories or fairy tales they're telling. Lovers and crazy people hallucinate fantasies that can never be understood by reasonable people. The crazy person, the lover, and the poet are all alike. They all have vivid imaginations. The madman imagines more devils than there are in hell. The lover, just as crazy, thinks an ugly woman is beautiful. And the poet looks up and down from heaven to earth and back again, his eyes rolling in his head. His imagination creates unreal things, and his pen pulls them out of thin air and makes them real. A strong imagination is so powerful that once it feels joy, it makes up a reason for that joy. Or the imagination of a fearful person at nighttime easily imagines that a harmless bush is really a bear. Hippolyta. But we've heard the whole story of their night in the woods, and their minds all imagine the exact same things. That must mean that they experience more than just a fantasy. Their stories, however, weird and astonishing, are all too similar to be made up. And so I'll stop there, and I want us to just go ahead and break down what's being said in each line. What is happening in this conversation right now? And so Hippolyta says these lovers are talking about strange things. So I want you to go ahead and write in your notes which lovers, who is she talking about? Who are the characters here that Hippolyta is referring to? So take about 30 seconds and just jot that down so that we know we're all on the same page. And so what we should know from here is that Hippolyta is referring to Hermia, Helena, Lysander, and Demetrius. She's saying that they're talking about strange things, and we know that those strange things are what they experienced that night in the woods. And so Theseus goes on this detailed monologue about how it's too strange to be real. He calls them fairy tales. He says that they hallucinate fantasies that cannot be understood by reasonable people. He says lovers and crazy people are all alike. And he proceeds to elaborate on that idea by saying that a strong imagination is so powerful that once it feels joy, it makes up a reason for that joy. And so, what's happening here? How does Theseus feel about what the lovers have said? Take a moment and jot in your notes. How do you think Theseus feels about these 4 lovers and their stories? Okay, and so what we can infer from this is that Theseus thinks that the 4 lovers have hallucinated the stories that they are telling due to their strong imaginations. So he doesn't believe it at all. He thinks that it's made up and that they have hallucinated it, and they are just young adults with vivid imaginations. Hippolyta, however, says, but we've heard the whole story of their night in the woods, and their minds all imagine the exact same things. That must mean that they experienced more than just a fantasy. Their stories, however weird and astonishing, are all too similar to be made up. And so, how does Hippolyta feel about the lover stories? Take a moment and jot down this. Okay, and so what you should have is something along the lines of Hippolyta believes that there is some truth to their stories because they all had the same story to tell. And so her rationale behind this is that they cannot all have imagined the exact same things. And so it had to have been more than just something that they made up. So this is exactly how I want your annotations to look today, how I want the notes on your paper to look as you are reading along. And if you just read it all, you can see that those notes come together to make a summary. All you're doing today is read a little, write a little, summarize what is actually happening in Act 5, Scene 1. And so once you're done with that, you will go into your exit ticket. It's going to be in the general tab as always. And assignments, and it's going to say April 14th, 2020 exit ticket. This is due by 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. I am from now on, I'm sorry, it's actually due by 9:30 a.m. I'm giving you 25 hours to do every assignment because my class does end at 9:15. And so you're going to have from 9:15 tomorrow to 9:30 the next day to go ahead and get that submitted. And that'll be how it is from now on. Is basically that your assignments are due the next day before class begins, or I'm sorry, after the following class. If you have not turned in all of your assignments, go ahead and do that. I am right now grading them. Once I get done grading, I will be contacting those people who I don't have anything for because I need to give you a grade and I want it to be a good one, as I'm sure you do as well. And so if you need help or if there's any reason that you have not completed an assignment, I will go ahead and take it, but I need you to get it into me as soon as possible so that I can update your grades. As always, ask questions if needed. I'm online all day. And otherwise, have a great day. And I really hope you all enjoy the finale to A Midsummer Night's Dream. It has been absolutely a joy, lots of fun reading this with you all. And although we're not doing it in class now, I hope you're still getting as much pleasure out of the story as you did before. That's all, guys. Have an awesome day.